Hello everybody, this is Mr. Uberduck and I'm back with another Redstone video, and today is my 600 subscribers special. Yes, I want to thank you all very much for subscribing. You are basically awesome, and if you haven't yet subscribed, please go ahead and do that, and maybe you'll get something even better for a 700 subscriber special. But let's just dive straight into what this thing is. So if you click this lever right here, lag incoming, this thing pops up. And it's a 2-high hipster wall. You can see no pistons are showing, and it's a seemingly flat floor. And then we can just flick the lever again, and with more lag, it all gets retracted. So how does this thing work? Well, it basically works off a very small circuit, and, well, a lot of clever mechanics. So let's just jump straight in to showing you guys the redstone. So this is the world's most compact 2-high hipster floor door thing. It's 135 blocks in volume, which smashes my old design which I had on this channel, which was 180. We basically shaved an entire layer off here without compromising the size anywhere else. And I say we because more than one person works on this, and there's a bit of a long story to that which we'll get to in a second. But you can see it works, albeit pretty slowly, but that's just because we use the same circuit about 4 times. And that's how we get it to be so small. Now the smallest one before this was made by ABH037. You may have seen him in my last video, and that was 144 blocks, which was in its own way very, very small. But I thought, why don't I beat it? I need to upload a special for 600 subscribers, and this would be very fitting as it's probably one of my first really successful redstone videos. So you can see the profile here. It's only 3 blocks wide, the actual wiring, and we can extend it to 15 whole blocks, which is a lot longer than you're going to be using in your survival, but oh well. This is the layout I used. May look like a big layout, but it's actually the most simple. So I guess I'll get into explaining the story of why this thing came about. So yeah, before I get into the story, I'm just going to say there is going to be a tutorial afterwards. I'll put an annotation on the screen to skip the story if you're not interested, but this is just explaining how it came about. Hold on tight for the tutorial. I started making this, I was nearly there, couldn't quite do it, called in on ABH. He said he'll look at it, then he called in Mr. Billy Bob Corndog, and they worked on it together, but he never told Mr. Billy Bob that I had done most of the circuit, so he didn't put me in the video, and yeah, that's basically where the story is. That's the story of how this thing came about. Let's just jump straight in with the tutorial. So you're going to need all of the items which are in my inventory. You're going to need 5 sticky pistons, 4 hoppers, 2 droppers, 9 redstone torches, 9 redstone dust, 3 redstone comparators, 12 redstone repeaters, enough building blocks, that can be whatever you want it to be, and I would suggest something like cobblestone if you're a bit poor, or stone brick if you want it to look nice, 1 redstone block, and 1 input, which I would suggest a lever. And yeah, so let's get in with this. So you want to start by placing your pistons like this. Your floor level is going to be here, and you're going to want to dig out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks down. That's where you need to dig out. So you're digging 5 blocks down, and you're placing blocks like this. This is going to be your floor, and do this, not there. Basically it has to look like that. So you've got your floor level, then a piston down here, which is 2 across with a block on the face, so that when you extend this piston, it'll go on top of the stack of 3 pistons. Those pistons all have to be vertical, by the way. Now we're going to get into the individual inputs. So you're going to need to place 1 over here, which will be dust here and a torch there. And that's going to power your piston here. Now I would suggest turning it off for the moment. So place blocks out like this, 2 out and then 1 on top. Remove these blocks and place a torch on the front of that block. That will turn off that piston for the time being. Now you want to do the rest. So you're going to place 2 blocks like so, and a torch on both of them. And then you're going to come up here, place 2 blocks like that. 1 2 blocks away with a torch on the front, and then a 1-tick repeater right there. Then you're going to come underneath the block with a repeater, place a block there, torch there, which turns off this one, and then a repeater pointing into that block, a block on the back of that repeater. And then finally a redstone dust here, and that is all your inputs. So now we're going to start off the circuit. First thing you're going to want to do is come to this torch that you placed earlier and place a block diagonally down from it, and then a comparator pointing into that block, and 2 hoppers facing into each other like so. Then place a torch on that side pointing into this hopper, and your lever will go on this block. That's your input. My mistake, the block actually goes on the other side like that. Just quickly change that, not too much of a problem, or it shouldn't be anyway. You're also going to need 4 non-stackable items. I suggest wooden swords or wooden shovels because they're very cheap. You can also use things like flint and steel or diamond helmets or whatever doesn't stack. You should be able to get the picture from that. And that's basically going to give loads of delay to turn this off, but not much when it turns on, and that's exactly what we want. Now you're going to build the circuit over here, which basically controls the whole door. The way we're going to do that is place a 2-tick repeater pointing into that torch and dust going into that repeater. And come down here, place a 1-tick repeater there and a dust here, and a repeater pointing into those blocks so it will power both lines. So if we just test this out, you can see these 2 pistons extend, but they don't retract, and this is where this bit of the circuit comes in. Come down here, place a 4-tick repeater pointing into this 1-tick repeater. That may seem strange, but if you don't know, repeaters can lock each other. So if we do something like this, turn this on, and then turn this one on, when we turn this one off, this repeater will stay on, and that's really quite useful, because then we can get delay in a much smaller space without too many problems. Then place a dust on top of a block on the back of this 4-tick repeater, and a block which connects these 2 up. And that's your input for this circuit. If we try it out now, it extends and retracts exactly like that. Now to connect this up, you want to go down from your input, place a block underneath the lever, a dust on that block, a comparator, very important, and put it on subtract mode. If you don't know how to do that, just right click and that will make the front thing turn red. Then place a block on front of that comparator and a torch there. That shouldn't break anything. Now if you want to try this out, you can see the extension is entirely done. And there's just one more movement for the start of the retraction, and that's where this bit comes in. So place a dropper facing upwards on the side of this block, and place a random object in your dropper. That can be literally anything. It can be anything from a beacon, a beacon block, to a wither star, to dirt or grass or whatever you want to put in there. So then we put a hopper on top and a comparator pointing out of that hopper. And what this does is when the dropper gets a pulse, it fires the item into the hopper, and the comparator picks up that signal. Then the hopper puts it instantly back into the dropper, so we get a quick pulse into this comparator. Now place a 3-tick repeater coming out of that comparator and a block on the front of that repeater. Now this should be your entire extension and the first part of your retraction completely done, and you can see flawless, not a problem. I actually forgot to, at the beginning of the video, to mention you need 1 slab, and you need to actually replace that block there with a slab with the comparator on top. My bad, that's to allow this circuit to work. To build this said circuit, place a dust underneath this comparator and a block diagonally down from that block that you just placed. Then 2 dusts two dusts. That's a hard word to say. Two dusts on top of those blocks, and then two 2-tick comparators like so. And on front of this one, you're going to place a block, and on this one, a 1-tick repeater. Now, what this does is makes a falling edge monostable, which means, let me just not break it. When we turn it on, nothing happens. But when we turn it off, it sends a 1-tick pulse. Ah, that's bad. Yeah, it sends a 1-tick pulse into the piston, which spits out the block. And that shouldn't have broken anything. Make sure you don't do that. Small technical glitch there. But now, from this circuit here, you're going to place a dust coming out of there, a repeater from that dust on 2 ticks, and this is where the subtract mode comes in. You place a dust here, which should point into your comparator. And what that does is temporarily turns off, then back on. Turns your comparator off, then it turns it quickly back on. And that gives a long enough pulse to activate this circuit again, which you will see the effect of in just a second here. So let's see what I've done so far. We grab that block using exactly the same circuit. Isn't that wonderful? So let's explain sort of how this thing down here works. We make this falling edge monostable here because it has a lot longer delay than a rising edge monostable, and it fires on the correct flick of the lever. So when the lever is on, we don't want this to fire, but when it's off, we do, because that will be when the pistons are in the middle of retracting. So the reason it comes out of the hoppers is because that gives it a long enough delay to mean we don't need to put any repeaters or anything down here to delay the signal. And it works just perfectly. If you actually watch how timed to perfection it is, it's so close to breaking, but it doesn't break. And that's the joy of Redstone. It's very fine-tuned. Now this thing here, it sends a pulse into this circuit, which is so good because not only does it power the pistons correctly here, but it also powers them correctly when they are in that position. And it does exactly the same thing. So we can extend them and retract them. Then when this fires again, the pistons will be like that, and we can, you guessed it, extend them and retract them. So if we find a way to power this whole circuit down here again, we'll have powered this one over here 4 times, this one here twice, and it will complete the entire retraction. And that's how this thing is so compact. I hope you understood that. So if we just get our redstone block, that was a bit of lag there. This is the bit where I failed and ABH and Exojet, Mr. Billy Bob Corndog, came in. So what I have to do is put a torch on the side of that block, drop it here, hopper on the front of that, you should know the drill by now. Place again any random block in there, and then a comparator coming out of the front, and a 4-tick repeater, and that's your entire door done. If we just look at this, there's the extension, and there's the retraction. Magical. So the way this works is this dropper here only gets 1 pulse, but you can see the hopper is being powered by this repeater. And what that means is that no item can be sent into the hopper until this repeater turns off. So if we watch it, when this torch turns on, this repeater happens to be on, but as soon as it goes off, the dropper puts the item into the hopper, and then the repeater turns on, not giving it a chance to go back. So this piston turns on, like that, but nothing happens, and that's because it's a falling edge monostable. So we have to wait for another opportunity when this repeater goes off, for the items go out of the dropper, turning off this line, which pulls back the piston, and this fires again, and that's how we get it to work. And that's pretty genius in my opinion. That's the one thing I couldn't work out, but the other guys could. So that's how to do it. And I'm going to show you how to extend your door. And yeah, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is place pistons out like this, exactly the same as you did at the beginning. They should look like that. I'll show you how to extend it 2 times. You can extend it up to 15. so effectively however many you want. Then place your blocks like this, and you basically need to extend the inputs, but I'm not going to make you work out what the inputs are for yourself. I'm going to show you. So again, place torches here and torches here, and you've basically got a wall of torches. Now place 2 blocks like this as a platform to place dust here and repeaters here, and that will turn off the top torches. Now these ones, you want to come down and place another platform with a block in front. Then more torches, there's a lot of torches in that area, and repeaters and dust, same drill as before. Now I recommend you put those up there so nothing messes up. Then you just place dust along here, that's a very easy one, and dust, torches, I recommend placing them twice just so that they pull the block back in. That's how to extend it. Let's just show you it definitely works. Extension and retraction, and that is how you can extend it yourself to make it 15 blocks long if you so desire. But anyway, this has been my 600 sub special. Really do hope you've enjoyed. Sorry for all the confusion about this, ABH and Guy, if you're watching. Yeah, but I guess I'll see you all next time. Bye.